Doug Ford, Ontario's premier, wants a fresh mandate from voters. He says it's crucial to tackle economic challenges. The biggest worry, US President Donald Trump's trade threats. Trump is talking about a 25% tariff on Canadian goods. That could hurt Ontario businesses and workers. Ford believes a strong mandate will give him the power to respond effectively. He wants to spend billions to protect Ontario's economy. But he says he needs a clear sign of support from the people. This spending is a big deal, and he wants voters to be on board. Ford argues that this situation is unique. He says the potential economic threat is serious. He doesn't want to wait for the next scheduled election in 2026. He wants to make decisions now with the full backing of Ontarians. Critics say he already has a mandate. They point out he won the last election in 2022. They question if the situation is urgent enough for an early election, but Ford is sticking to his guns. He says the stakes are too high to wait. The timing of Ford's potential early election call is no accident. He's riding high in the polls. His Progressive Conservative Party is ahead of both the Liberals and the NDP. Recent polls show Ford with 46% support province-wide. In the key battleground of Metro Toronto, he's at 38%. These numbers suggest Ford is in a strong position to win. An early election could give him an even bigger majority in the legislature. This would give him more power to push through his agenda. And with the opposition divided, his chances of success are even higher. Both the Liberals and NDP have offered to support Ford's spending plans without an election. They say an election is unnecessary and a waste of taxpayer money, but Ford sees an opportunity to solidify his power. He's betting that voters will reward his leadership. He's hoping to capitalize on the current political climate and secure a decisive victory. Ontario has had a fixed election date law since 2005. This means elections are supposed to happen every 4 years like clockwork, but the law isn't ironclad. It does allow for early elections under certain circumstances. The Premier can advise the Lieutenant Governor to dissolve the legislature. If the Lieutenant Governor agrees, an election is called. This has happened before in Ontario and other provinces, so, while unusual, an early election wouldn't be unprecedented. Critics argue that Ford's move goes against the spirit of the fixed election date law. They say it undermines the principle of predictable elections. They also point out that fixed election dates were brought in to prevent this kind of political maneuvering. Ford, however, maintains that he's acting within the rules. He argues that the current situation warrants an exception to the norm. Ultimately, the decision of whether to hold an early election rests with the voters of Ontario. Ford may want a new mandate, but it's up to the people to decide if he gets one. The coming weeks will likely see a flurry of campaigning from all sides. Ford will be touting his record and his plan to address the economic challenges. The opposition parties will be trying to convince voters that an early election is unnecessary. They'll be highlighting their own plans for the province. The political stakes are high. A Ford victory would cement his grip on power. A loss would be a major upset and could reshape the political landscape. One thing is certain: Ontario politics just got a whole lot more interesting.